I do believe they have on paper the strongest roster in the AFC. And if any year was the year for them to get over that championship game in an AFC championship game hump, it would be this upcoming season. And especially because I think the Chiefs, while they'll still be in the mix, they are vulnerable, even with Mahomes and the black magic they be doing. But I feel like the Ravens are really geared up to do something special.
We have the Baltimore Ravens. So I really like this team. I really like this team a lot. I think if this is going to be the year for them to do it, why is it not sharing? Hold on. Oh, I forgot to share. Here we go. If this has to be the year that they do it, right? That has to be the year they get over the hump, right?
They got to make some shake. I tell you that much.
So when we look at the Baltimore Ravens, they have addressed a lot of their issues. They drafted, although controversially, a pass rusher. They needed an edge rusher. They drafted that Mike Green, one of the best edges in the draft. Then they also was able to get the best safety in the draft in Malachi Starks out of Georgia, who a lot of people love that pick. Put him alongside Kyle Hamilton, and then you have the secondary. You bring in Jair Alexander, that was a great addition. Even though you have to worry about his health, there's a lot of depth in that secondary. Where even if he does get hurt during the season, as long as he plays in the playoffs, that's going to be a great addition for them. You also still have Marlon Humphreys, and then they brought back Cal Van Noy, Matabuki. He was really good for them last year, and then you have Travis Jones. So I really like, and then obviously Roquan Smith. Roquan Smith can't forget
Yeah.
about Roquan Smith. I really like this Ravens defense. I think this Ravens defense is far and away one of the top five defenses in the NFL. They did a really good job of rebuilding this defense. If you remember back in 2023, one of the reasons why they were able to make it to the conference championship game was the fact that I believe they had the number one ranked defense or one of the top two rated defenses in the NFL that year. They really needed their defense to be great. And I believe this year they have a really great defense that can propel them back to the conference championship and potentially a Super Bowl appearance. And then when you look at the offensive side of the ball, their offensive line isn't terrible. I think it's more middle of the pack. Ronnie Stanley, I like Ronnie Stanley and Linderbaum. All the other guys are okay. They'll hold in their end of the bargain. And then obviously
Tyler
you have,
Linderbaum is really good.
yeah, Linderbaum, he was really good for them last year. And then you have Ronnie Stanley, who's the left tackle. He's been obviously a really good left tackle for them for many years. And then you look at their skill positions. They bring in DeAndre Hopkins. I felt like they needed DeAndre Hopkins last year. Feels like a year too late in my opinion, but hey, you never know what he can do. He'll be a good blocking wide receiver for them, for Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, who are two tremendous, obviously top at their division, top at their position. So then you have Zay Flowers, who's going to come back. I believe Zay Flowers, wasn't he hurt against the Bills?
Yes, he was.
So there you go. If they would have had Zay Flowers, who would have known? Maybe they could have made the Super Bowl that year, but we'll never know. This year, they're going to have Zay Flowers. Hopefully, he can remain healthy for the entirety of the season and playoffs because it came down to him in this past playoffs and in the previous past playoffs. Remember, he fumbled the ball. I think it was
At the
towards the
goal
one
line,
yard
yeah.
line. And
Hmm.
then this past year, he was hurt against the Bills. So he might be that difference maker when it comes down to the Bills and when it comes down to Chiefs. They need him to remain healthy. They have him in the slot, and then they have Rashad Bateman, and they have Mark Andrews. You have that two tight end lineman. Let me go to our lads to get a better understanding of their depth chart. They I like that they drafted LeJontay Wester. If you don't know, he's out of Colorado. It's interesting
Yeah.
they have him in the slot because I feel like in Colorado he was more of an outside receiver than a slot receiver. I don't recall him being a slot receiver. Maybe I'm wrong. I thought he was more of an outside receiver. But
Um, I think yeah, yeah, I think so because they had what's his name?
Jimmy Horn, and
Yeah,
they
Jimmy
had
Horn. Yeah,
Travis Hunter.
yeah.
I guess he was the slot receiver, but he was playing a lot. But a lot of his catches were vertical. I I guess he was the shot receiver. But
Wasn't Horn in the slot?
Horn again. I can't remember. I don't remember like what each actual position was at wide receiver, but I do remember a lot of their big plays was from LeJontay Wester. A lot of their big 50-yard, 60-yard plays was from LeJontay Wester. But anywho, he's in the slot. I actually like their depth at the wide receiver position. If you look at it, remember they drafted Tez Walker. I like him as a bench guy, not as a starter, not as a guy getting a bunch of minutes, but as a bench guy, and LeJontay Wester as well. They have good depth at the wide receiver position, and then obviously at the tight end position, you have Isaiah Likely and Mark Andrews. I'm always going to like that. And then you have Lamar Jackson, who's arguably the best quarterback in the NFL. And then you have Derrick Henry, who's arguably one of the two best running backs in the NFL. So, and then you have Justice Hill, who's a quality backup. So I like this offense and I like this defense. Remember, they drafted Nate Wiggins last year, and then they brought in
Mm-hmm.
Awuzie as a backup cornerback, which is good. So you have depth at the cornerback position, you have the depth at the secondary position, and then you drafted Mike Green, who's an elite edge coming out of the draft, and then you also address some of your interior line issues. Guys started to develop a lot better, and Roquan Smith is an amazing linebacker. I really like this team a lot. I really like this team.
Yeah.
What is your thought? What is your thoughts on the Ravens overall, from a drafting perspective, and also just do you think that they can finally get over the hump and make the Super Bowl?
Oh man, the Ravens, they are what am I contenders. They're contenders year in and year out from a combination of things. They go out and get free agents, they sign free agents. Lamar Jackson is phenomenal. And in the draft, they don't overthink it. They go by who is the best player right now that we can use to build this team. Not drafting for need, but they're taking the best dudes and the best talent on the board. And it consistently works out year after year because there's dudes coming into the Pro Bowl. You're like, oh, yeah, I know who that guy is because the Ravens drafted him. And it's like good coaching as well. I do believe they have on paper the strongest roster in the AFC. And if any year was the year for them to get over that championship game in an AFC championship game hump, it would be this upcoming season. And especially because I think the Chiefs, while they'll still be in the mix, they are vulnerable, even with Mahomes and the black magic they be doing. But I feel like the Ravens are really geared up to do something special. Like you said, I like the acquisitions of DeAndre Hopkins. Definitely needed another outside receiver, consistent outside receiver, veteran receiver, maybe teach Zay Flowers some more nuances out of that slot because D Hop also played his fair share of slot in the league. You still got Derrick Henry, who's going to be a dynamic 1-2 punch with him and Justice Hill. I just really like this team, man. I really do. I just like look up top to bottom. This is a very solid roster. I really don't have much complaints or any negatives to say about I even like the offensive line for the most part. I was high on Andrew Voorhees when he came out of college last year. I think that was last year. But yeah, this is a very solid team top to bottom. I don't really have much negative things to say. I do like they got Chidobe Awuzie in free agency because Marlon Humphrey is prone to get injured and miss a game or two. They got some interior line help with John Jenkins from the Raiders in the offseason. I'm not sure how good he is, but man, I feel like that Malachi Starks and Cal Hamilton duo is going to be crazy.
Yep. I think it's already one of the best safety duos in the league, and they haven't
Yeah.
played it down yet.
I mean, you still can put. Oh wait, no. Oh, he's hurt right now. Okay, Darius Washington. So I forgot he's hurt. So I was gonna say maybe get a little tricky. You could put Malachi Starks, play him in a box, and have Darius Washington roam a little bit. But I don't know how severe Darius's injury is, but
So let me ask you
he's
this
on a
question.
pup list. Oh yeah, never mind.
Let me ask you this question. Do you think this is the most talented roster ever assembled for the Lamar Jackson era?
Honestly, yeah, I'd have to say yeah because let's Pro Bowlers all up and down the roster, and like it's not a single like before the other Lamar or Ravens rosters. We could say, oh yeah, the wide receiver position is just not where it needs to be. This is the like really the first time we could be okay. These are dudes that would start anywhere in the league. So yeah, this is probably the best. And you also got Derrick Henry. Like, come on now. I know he's 30, but he still told that he still had 1,800 yards last year, I believe.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, this the hands down. This is the best.
I think the weak part of the roster is going to be their offensive line and the lack of edge rushers. That's why Mike Green is going to be very important for them this season. Hopefully, he can stay out of trouble and he can make some type of contribution. I think that's going to be the determining factor is can the O line hold up consistently and can they get some level of pass rush? If they can do those two things, I believe they'll be just fine because they have the depth at the cornerback position to make sure that in the event Jair Alexander or Marlon Humphreys goes down with an injury, they can just plug in a Wuzier and another cornerback and they'll be good to go. And on the offensive end, I think Lamar Jackson will be just fine. I think he'll hold up well. I think Derrick Henry, I know he's up there. He's over 30 years old, but he's shown over the years that he is not injury prone and that he can withstand any level of punishment. And because of Lamar Jackson's legs and because they have Justice Hill as a backup running back, I don't think they have to put so many touches, put so much on the shoulders of Derrick Henry for them to be an effective running team. And then you have Zay Flowers, you have Rashad Bateman, you bring in DeAndre Hopkins, you draft LeJounte Wester, and then you still have Tez Walker. I just really like this team, man, because from top to bottom, you have depth. You have guys in any given moment. If they go down with injury, they can overcome it. And guess what? Guess who's the backup to Lamar Jackson this year?
Cooper Rush.
So let's say Lamar Jackson, he has a messed up ankle, he needs to sit out for a game. You got Cooper Rush. So they have a good backup QB as well. It seems like every contingency plan they have in place in the event that a player needs to sit out for a game or two. I like this team a lot. I think they're going to be a great regular season team. It just comes down to the playoffs. It just comes down to can they make the
Get over
necessary
the hump.
plays
Yeah.
to get over the hump. I don't see the excuses this year. They have a great team as long as they can remain healthy, as long as Lamar continues to play MVP football. I don't see how this team doesn't come out of the AFC conference. I believe going away, they're hands down the favorites in the AFC North. There's not another team in the AFC North that can compete with this team from a talent perspective, in my opinion.
Yeah, not on both sides of the ball at least.
No, and I also like the draft as well because we mentioned Malachi Starks and Mike Green, but they also went offensive line in round 3. They went linebacker in round 4. They went offensive line again in round 5. And they went cornerback. They went kicker as well. With Justin Tucker's situation, you're gonna
Yeah.
have to go kicker eventually. Yeah. And then obviously I mentioned LeJounte Wester round 6, and then they went defensive line. So a lot of the guys that they drafted, they needed. They needed a lot of these guys in the draft. You went safety to help boost up the secondary, and then you went pass rusher round 2 because you need a pass rusher because you're lacking in that area, and then also bring in some more offensive linemen because the offensive line, well, yes, you have two really good offensive linemen, the center and the tackle position. You still need more depth. So I like what they're doing overall from a draft perspective, and then what they did in free agency and what they still have in their developmental process and their star players that are currently on that team. So the Ravens are doing great. The Ravens are a consistently good team, good organization. They know what to spend, what not to spend. I don't see much of flaws when it comes to this team.
Me either.
All right, well let's move on. That was fun. Let's move on.